It was supposed to be a quiet night. The villagers had finished their evening meals. Children had drifted into peaceful slumber, and the only sounds in the air were the distant hoots of owls and the gentle rustling of leaves in the night breeze. But then, something changed. A deep, unsettling sound slithered through the darkness, a sound no one wanted to hear. It wasn't the roar of a lion, it wasn't the growl of a leopard. It was something far more eerie, something that made the hairs on the back of the villagers' necks stand on end. But this was no ordinary laughter. It was distorted, guttural, unnatural, a sound that sent chills down spines, a haunting symphony of the night. Then came the eyes, dozens of them. Glowing yellow, unblinking, piercing through the thick veil of night like tiny torches in the dark. And then, they moved. At first it was slow, a creeping advance, silent but calculated. The shadows shifted unnaturally as figures slithered through the trees, their bodies low to the ground, their presence barely detectable. But the villagers, they could feel it, a presence surrounding them, watching them, closing in on them. And then, all at once, the hunt began. It started with a single scream, a man's voice, sharp and panicked, echoing through the stillness. Then another, and another. Suddenly, the entire village was awake, their peaceful night shattered by a nightmare they never saw coming. The first victim never stood a chance. He had stepped outside, perhaps to check on his livestock, perhaps to relieve himself in the cool night air. No one knows for sure. What they do know is that he never made it back inside. By the time his neighbors heard his cries and rushed to their doors, they saw him, dragged into the darkness by unseen forces, his arms flailing, his body jerking violently as shadowy figures lunged and ripped at him. Then, in an instant, silence. The villagers froze in terror, and that's when they saw them, the hyenas. But these were not the timid scavengers they were used to. These were not the cautious opportunists that usually fled at the sight of humans. No. These were different. Their eyes burned with something primal, something deadly, something that was not just hunger, but intent. One by one, the hyenas began emerging from the shadows. They poured into the village, moving with terrifying synchronization. They surrounded homes, blocked escape routes, and positioned themselves like an army of trained killers. And then, as if answering some unseen command, they attacked. The screams that followed were unlike anything the villagers had ever heard. The sounds of tearing flesh, the crunch of bones shattering under immense pressure, the guttural growls of the beasts as they tore through doors, climbed onto roofs, and forced their way inside homes. No one was safe. No one could escape. Some fought back. A few brave souls grabbed torches, hoping fire would scare the beasts away. But for every hyena that retreated, another took his place. The onslaught was relentless, merciless. By dawn, the village was unrecognizable. Blood stained the ground, houses lay in ruins, and the silence that followed was deafening. But why? Why did this happen? Hyenas are often misunderstood creatures. Many people see them as cowardly scavengers feeding on the leftovers of stronger predators. But this attack proved otherwise. It shattered the myth that hyenas only take the weak and the dying. It showed that under the right conditions, hyenas are apex predators capable of organized and deadly assaults. But what could have triggered such an event? Experts have debated this question for years, trying to unravel the mystery behind one of the most brutal animal attacks in modern history. Some believe it was hunger, pure, unfiltered desperation. A drought had swept through the region, depleting natural food sources. With nothing left to hunt, the hyenas may have turned to an alternative source of meat, humans. But was it really just hunger? Or was there something else? Because there's one chilling fact that still haunts researchers today. Hyenas do not normally attack in such numbers. Even in the wild, their hunting groups rarely exceed 10 or 15. But on that night, more than 40 hyenas worked together with terrifying precision. It was an ambush, a coordinated slaughter, a level of teamwork that defied normal hyena behavior. So was this really just nature? Or was there something unnatural at play? Those who survived that night refused to speak of it, at least not easily. A survivor speaks in a trembling voice. They weren't animals, not that night. There were demons. They didn't just kill for food. They killed because they could, because they wanted to. One man recalled how he watched his brother being torn apart right in front of him. He tried to pull him away, but the hyenas were too fast, too strong. They surrounded him, cutting off all escape routes. He barely made it out alive. Others tell stories of how the hyenas seemed aware, how they moved with a precision that felt unnatural, how their eyes glowed with something beyond hunger. And then there are the whispers, stories passed down through generations, stories that hint at something more than just an animal attack. Because in some cultures, hyenas are not just animals, they are messengers of the underworld, creatures of dark magic. Some believe they can be controlled, used as tools for vengeance, and others believe they are not hyenas at all, but something else wearing the skin of an animal. The morning after the attack, investigators arrived. What they found was beyond explanation. The village was in ruins, bodies were missing. The few survivors were too traumatized to speak. Some say the attack was just nature running its course. Others insist it was something darker, a punishment, a warning, a curse. To this day, no one truly knows why the hyenas attacked that night, or why they have never done so again. Hyenas are fascinating creatures, brilliant, adaptable, and incredibly dangerous. But events like this remind us of their true nature. They are not just scavengers, they are survivors. And in desperate times, they will do whatever it takes to stay alive. So, was this just a tragic moment of nature taking its course? Or was there something more to the story? Something we may never fully understand. One thing is certain, when the sun sets and the hyenas begin to laugh, some nightmares are all too real. What do you think? Was this a freak occurrence, or could something more sinister have been at play? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story chilling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more terrifying true stories like this. Until next time, stay safe. And remember, when the hyenas start laughing, they might not be laughing alone.